This is a show for, about, and by seniors, giving information to enhance one's quality of life. And speaking of quality of life, our first guest this morning is Bob Sheritz of Way Out Recovery. Welcome, Bob. It's good to see you again.
Why, thank you, Barbara. It's great to be on the show once again.
And I think Gene is on his way.
Yeah, I'm sure he'll be sliding in any minute.
He will. So what's on the agenda for this morning?
Well, I tell you, when you certainly, I would like to look at what is sort of an overlooked population. What's interesting about the seniors and drug abuse or drug addiction is that we often don't think of that population as having, an issue. However, just look at the numbers. In the United States, over the age of 65 is roughly 13-14% of the population.
And it's growing.
And so it's a smaller number of the population. However, 1/3 of outpatient prescriptions go to that population.
That's right.
So 35% roughly of the outpatient prescription medications are going to 13% of the population. So there is just in that arena right there, because of so many different medications, there's such a high propensity to abuse. It
is. It really is. And as you get older, your body heals more slowly.
Right.
And of course, the pain is going to go away even slower. And that means the continuation of these drugs that are so bad for your body.
Well, we go, as we age, there are a multitude of different unique stressors that we're going to face as we age. Pain being one of them, different health issues, emotional changes that are going on in our system, family changes. We have kids that are growing up and are leaving the house, and so there's like empty nest things going on. You have retirements taking place, so all of a sudden you go from, maybe it's not all of a sudden, but there are certainly some changes that take place. I'm going from working 40 hours to retirement, where all of a sudden I have all this time on my hands.
That's right.
And I've seen, it's interesting about sort of that, just that little phenomenon right there, is I've seen over and over. I've been providing drug and alcohol treatment in the Santa Clarita Valley for about 10 years. Our treatment center, the Way Out Recovery, is relatively new. We've been open 3 or 4 months, and it's something new that I started. But in my 10 years of experience out here, I've seen over and over again where you'll have someone who's a professional that may drink normally. Like they come home after work and they have a couple of beers and it takes the edge off, and all of a sudden there's a significant change in their life, like retirement. And we have this population of people that come in and they say, oh my God, all of a sudden I find that I can't stop drinking. And all of a sudden overnight it seems like I'm an alcoholic, and how did this possibly happen?
That's right. And I think a lot of that is due to inactivity, not having something to look forward to when you wake up in the morning, and getting a shot of alcohol makes you feel better.
Right.
Livens you a little bit. But in the long run, it almost destroys you because you become addicted to it.
Well, and that's that's sort of the hook with addiction, is a lot of people don't see it coming.
No,
I don't think that there's a person, I've worked with thousands of drug addicts and their families and alcoholics and their families, and I don't think I've ever met anyone who said, when I was younger, I wanted to be a drug addict when I grew up. I want to be an alcoholic when I'm in my 30s or something like that, right?
They don't even think that far.
You don't even think about it. It's sort of like, I've heard it like cooking a frog. So bear with me here, right? Is that if you took a frog and threw it in a boiling hot pot, it would jump right out.
Oh, absolutely.
But if you put it in water and you slowly turn up the heat, right? It's the same kind of thing. Is what happens is, before I know it, I'm cooked. Before I know it, I'm addicted. Right. And unfortunately, in today's world we live, so what's happening now is we have baby boomer population, which is now seniors, right? And that era right there is lived through the 60s and the 70s and all of the drug and craziness that went on through that whole era into the 80s and the 90s where cocaine was running rampant, and then into the early 90s where methamphetamine, and now we're in a world of just prescribe opiates.
That's right. Plus heroin also.
Yeah.
That seems to be a big item.
Well, and what happens a lot of times, and it's not necessarily exclusive to seniors, but it happens in all populations, and we've seen this phenomenon really in the last, I would say, 10 to 15 years, certainly in the last 10 years, is because of the readiness with which we get prescribed medications, specifically opiates. You have a little pain, here's some opiates. You have this, here's some opiates. And what's happened over the last 10 or 15 years is the prescription of opiates has tenfold. So it's so easy. I'll give you a little example of that is, this is no knock on doctors or dentists or anything like that. I'm a recovering drug addict. I've been sober for a lot of years, right? And so what I teach my clients and what I was taught is that if I go to a doctor or I go to a dentist, that I have to be proactive in my recovery. I have to let the doctor know I'm a recovering drug addict. Please don't give me any narcotics, right? So I went to, about a year and a half ago, I go to my dentist, and no less than 3 times in there. So I fill out the little sheet. It was my first time at this dentist. I fill out the little sheet. They ask about drug addiction. Any special thing you want to tell us, I write it down again. I'm a recovering drug addict. Please don't give me any narcotics. And then I let the lady who's doing the x-rays know. I let the lady who came in and prepped it. I let the dentist know. And when I went to walk out of the office, guess what they handed
Prescription.
me? A prescription for Vicodin. I swear to God. I'm like, are you kidding me? Really? I handed it back to him. I said, please rewrite this. I want ibuprofen. Works just fine for me, But it's that kind of a sort of mentality and philosophy that we have that has created this epidemic.
Yeah, I think we are all inculcated with the idea that we're going to get relief real quick by taking a pill. And that's whether it be the patients, the doctors, the people around them, that is the ongoing problem. And, it shows on the nightly news. Whenever you watch the news, you see commercials that come on. Take this pill and your problem will be relieved. And that's how we are thinking now. So when it comes to pain, this is what goes on. The prescription is written.
Yeah.
And we really have to find other modalities and treatment plans to be able to take care of our patients who have pain without giving them these heavy-duty narcotics and opiates that are going to get them addicted.
And it's not just pain issues either. The number one prescribed narcotics in the world are anti-anxiety medications like Xanax and Valium and the benzodiazepines, right? But it's the same road. It's the same road. We all have stressors and we all get anxious, but rather than try all the other methods of stress reduction first, we automatically go to give me a pill that's going to make my anxiety come down.
It's across the board, correct.
And the problem with these types of medications, whether we're talking a benzodiazepine or we're talking an opiate, is that they build up a tolerance in our system. So I go in and I have some anxiety and I start taking a Xanax. The studies show that after 3 weeks of taking an anti-anxiety medication, that what they call the bidirectional effect, which means this, that the anxiety that I'm going to have from coming off of that, so if I discontinue my Xanax now, my anxiety from the withdrawal from the medication is going to be greater than the anxiety that I started with after only 3 weeks of taking it. And so I get in there, I want relief from my anxiety, so I take something like a Xanax or an Ativan or whatever the benzo is that's prescribed to me, and it works very, very well. The problem is that now if I ever try to reduce that usage or to get off of it, that my anxiety is going to go through the roof. And so I'm stuck.
Yes, you are, in a vicious circle.
And then your need for the medication might increase as well, the tolerance of it. And as that tolerance increases and you then go off of it, your withdrawal will be greater as well.
Right.
So it becomes a big vicious cycle for our patients who are trying to find relief for a problem they have, but yet, the solution has to be something different in our society than what we're giving now. And how about this, Bob? How, the ibuprofen works for your pain. So you say, I'm not taking these medications. How about somebody who pain tolerance isn't as good as yours, or their knowledge of using ibuprofen isn't as good as yours? Where do they go? I mean, I always say use ice, heat, and things like that. You could put it on your jaw if you got tooth pain. But, how do people get out of this whole idea that they have to have a prescription for everything?
Well, I think that one of the first routes to take is to find a physician or to find somebody who's a professional that is also sympathetic to addiction. Somebody that is trained in addiction, that knows it, not just a couple hour course during the course of their schooling, but I mean really somebody who has studied addiction, who knows about it and is sympathetic to that, who is going to try there are a lot of pain relief techniques and other medications that are non-addictive. There are a lot of things to do. I am not a licensed professional that can give you any kind of medical advice, so I'm not gonna pretend to do that. But what I will tell you is that there are doctors who are licensed professionals that can give you. You mentioned hot and cold, massage therapy, hot and cold packs, acupuncture, changes in diet, other non-addictive medications. I'm not going to name any because I don't have enough knowledge on what they are, but there are other medications. Things like I didn't know until I tried that ibuprofen works great for me. And I've heard that story 100 times over. It's people that are on opiates, right? They've always used that for their pain, and then all of a sudden they get to a point where they can't do that anymore because of the addictive properties. They get off of that. They get clean out of their system. The first time they have some pain, they take the ibuprofen. They're like, oh, my God, it works fabulous. But I just never did it before, so I don't know. So, my encouragement to anybody who has pain issues that is afraid of becoming addicted to any sort of an opiate is try other methods first. Try the acupunctures, try the massage therapies, try the different techniques, the hot and cold, the changes of your diet. That can help as well. A lot of foods that we eat cause inflammation and things like that.
So the last time I looked, Bob, relative to this area, the Santa Clarita Valley, there is no addiction MD in our area for at least 20 miles.
Right.
So, and I think that's a shame. But your group, though, is a group that can help with what you were just talking about. Coming to your group and getting other ideas. And, it's not just the physical part, isn't it? It's the mindset of the individual. And that individuals have to be willing to seek help first and then delve into it. But if you don't say right off the bat, I got a problem, then you're not going to control the problems that you have. So how, in terms of people coming to your group and you giving suggestions like you just did, isn't that a nice advantage to have for us to have you in the community doing these things for us?
Well, absolutely, I would agree. There are treatment centers in Santa Clarita, and what we do at the Way Out is, you made a statement that somebody has to know they have a problem and have to want to change, and I'm a little bit. I'm gonna bust that a little bit because I've seen a lot of people who have almost been forced in by their families.
Yep.
They come dragging them in by their ear,
that's right.
and they recover anyway, even though they don't want to be there. So I would say, the old myth is that you have to want it in order to get recovery, and I think the truth is more you have to be exposed to it in order to get the recovery. So anybody can come through the door. Part of what we do is we help assess how severe is your problem. On what level is it, right? And so we will help you get to a place. If you come in and say, I'm not sure if I have a problem, okay, let's take a look at that. We'll start to look at how it's affecting your life. How many are you taking a day? How's your tolerance level? What are you taking it for? Is it legitimate? And then once we determine where a person is at in terms of their severity, then we approach from a multitude of levels. Like you said, it's not just mental. So we look at that mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual. So we encompass a total holistic approach where we want you to start. So the mental part of it is the education. Let's look at the truth about these drugs and how harmful they are. Let's look at the truth about how they affect your brain. Let's look at the truth about how they affect everything else. The emotional piece of it is we teach healthy coping skills, whether it be exercise, meditation, mindfulness, connecting with other people. We teach you emotional coping skills so that when you are stressed out or when you get angry or when you feel sad or whatever, that you don't go over the top and run to a beer or run to a drug or run to some sort of other acting out behavior. On a physical level, what we do is we treat, part of our treatment plan is a nutrition assessment. We do a nutrition assessment. We include exercise and outdoor activity. We include drumming in our.
Drumming.
Yeah,
Wow.
drumming has been, I could do a whole show on the efficacy
I've
of
heard.
rhythm therapy
Oh,
and
yes.
drumming in
Oh,
treatment.
yes.
But we employ that on a regular basis. We also employ family treatment. So one time a week we have all the families come in and we do individual family sessions. Because not only are we talking about the individual system, your well-being and your physical system, but the entire family system
Right.
as well. And so we teach all those skills that I just mentioned to everybody who's involved, who's part of this individual person's recovery process. And as we start to teach those skills right there, what we find with the person is that their spiritual well-being starts to improve. And when I'm talking spiritual, I'm not necessarily, although it can be, talking religious. If you have a specific religion, God bless. Enhance that. Go to church, connect back with your fellowship, do all of that stuff. But if you don't, let's explore what your spirituality means. Your connection to the rest of the world, your connection to other people, and your connection with yourself. And as we start to employ those other techniques and get people to do different things in their lives, to not run to a pill, but to run to meditation. To not run to a pill, but to run to exercise. To not run to a pill, but to run to fellowship with other people. That as people start to do that, they start to feel better about themselves, and we
right.
watch their spirituality grow. And so, we really believe, so the answer is yes, that we do, we do need programs like us in the Santa Clarita Valley.
And if people don't go to these programs, the chance of having recovery is slim to none. And at least if you're going to a program and somebody is helping you to understand where your body is coming from and what your needs are, it makes a huge difference.
Absolutely. One of the things that I found in my personal recovery is that I never could change on my own. I had to, one of the things that we say at the way out is asking for help is the first step. And people try over and over again to get a hold of this addiction thing on their own, and they always fail over and over and over again because you're not capable of doing it on your own.
No, I think family is a big help.
Can be a detriment sometimes
Well,
too, but
that's
yes.
true. That's true. I agree with you there. But they all need to be involved. Everyone around you needs to be involved to help you help yourself.
Right. Well, we are, human beings are social creatures. And when we're doing okay and we're connecting with each other, how much better we feel. And there's nothing, for me personally, there is nothing better than the connection that I have with other people. Us sitting in this room right now, connecting with each other, just such a beautiful thing in those relationships. And so we yearn for that, and addiction isolates us. It pushes us outside of what we want to be a part of. And so we stand on the outside wishing we could access that help, and we're not able to do that. And when we finally surrender and we ask for the help, the community surrounds us,
That's
the
right.
community surrounds us, and we get better.
That's
get better.
very true. That's
Yep.
very true.
Definitely your group and what you're doing, Bob, is an asset to our community, and we thank you for being here and helping those who are involved and those who have a problem moving in a direction that will help them out and giving them the way out.
That's right. So we appreciate it very much at the way out. If you want to get a hold of us, please call us at 661-296-4444. Again, 661-296-4444. We have an awesome website too. Check it out, thewayoutrrecoveryscv.com. So yeah, I really appreciate you guys having me on the show today. And anybody that we can help, please, reach out for the help. Reach out for the help.
Well, thanks for being here once again. We're going to come back in a few minutes with Kim Wall, who will be our next guest, and she will share with us some of the similar things about our bodies that, Bob, you have shared. So thanks for being here again. I'm Dr. Gene Dorio with Barbara Cochran on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS.
You're constantly on the go. Why not be on the go in the comfort, style, and safety of a new Nissan from Valencia Nissan?
Bob Bailey, Executive Manager at Valencia Nissan, where Bob or any of his helpful, friendly staff can assist you with incredible savings on summer specials on the 2017 Nissan Versa, Sentra, Altima, or the new Nissan Juke SUV.
You're always welcome at Valencia Nissan, where we make your automotive dreams come true.
Marinated strips of steak grilled to perfection with onions, peppers, jack and cheddar cheese, ranchero sauce. Mouth-watering yet? I thought it would. I could keep going, but I won't tease you like that. I'll just tell you where to go. Cabo Cabana and Stevenson Ranch, where fresh is just the beginning. Delicious tacos, burritos, enchiladas, tostadas, Baja Authentic style Mexican food that you just won't be able to resist. What more could you ask for? Cabo Cabana on the old road in Stevenson Ranch.
Word up, Antelope Valley. Tickets are on sale now for Cameo and the SOS Band August 18th at the Antelope Valley Fair. Tickets for Cameo and the SOS Band concert on August 18th are on sale now at avfair.com. It's part of the Palmdale Auto Mall concert series. Tickets for Cameo and the SOS Band on August 18th range from $20 for standing room only to $80 Gold Circle. Tickets include fair admission, and grandstand seats for these concerts are free with paid fair admission. Join the celebration at the AV Fair on opening night, August 18th with Cameo and the SOS Band concert. Tickets for the Cameo and SOS Band concert on August 18th are on sale now at avfair.com. For all AV Fair information, go to avfair.com.
With Facey Medical Group, good health is within your reach. Facey Doctors provide Santa Clarita's finest primary and specialist care at 4 convenient Santa Clarita locations. If you're looking for connected and convenient personal care, there's no better choice. Facey accepts most healthcare insurance, including plans offered through Covered California. For more information or to schedule an appointment, call 1-844-MY-FACEY, 1-844-MY-FACEY.
At Advanced Audiology, we know how important hearing is to you, your loved ones, your work success, your safety, and your ability to stay in the game. Most people won't admit hearing loss to themselves or others. We make it easy for you. Today's digital hearing aids come in a variety of styles, including invisible. All feature-rich, providing unparalleled hearing quality, wearing comfort, and automation that simplifies your life. Don't be fooled by our imitators. There's only one Advanced Audiology with the purple sign, next to AAA on Valencia Boulevard.
Come out this Saturday, August 12th, for the free back-to-school summer concert and barbecue at Aliento, just off the 14 at Golden Valley Road in Santa Clarita.
Hometown, your hometown station.
Will you still need me? Will you still feed me when I'm 64?
Welcome back to the Senior Hour. I'm Barbara Cochran with my co-host, Dr. Gene Dorio, on your hometown station, KHTS. And our guest now is Kim Wall, who's an alternative medicine advocate. And we're going to talk about an event that took place in Santa Clarita on this past Saturday. And it was a seminar or a symposium about the recently passed law for recreational marijuana. Yes.
Prop 64.
Prop 64. And it was a very interesting morning, to say the least.
It was put on by the Cannabis Management group, and they gave us the opportunity to go over quite a few different categories and understand what the legalities for an unincorporated city like Santa Clarita is.
Well,
so they gave us both.
Yeah, the interesting thing about it, though, is the state, you can get a state permit or a state license to sell, but you can't get a county license or permit, which is absolutely ludicrous.
And that's where the education's going to come in to allow people to understand what's happening and where their input can be put into this, because that's what that Saturday was about. It was about gathering information on the different topics that this cannabis management group felt were appropriate. And we went over youth access and exposure to cannabis. We went over where should cannabis businesses be located, personal cultivation, taxation, revenue, general concerns, and kind of the bottom line is I know Barbara and I jump from table to table, is this is going to fall under similar things like alcohol and tobacco. It's not going to be a pop-up pot stand, on the corner. It's going to be the same legalities to go through. That's why we need to look at the educational part of it, because one of the things that was brought up at the tables that were discussed, there was many different people there from many different walks of life. I was very surprised. My takeaway was how much power is being used in this valley to grow cannabis, and how we need to, with our legislation, encourage green growth, encourage, it to be something that doesn't drain our system but builds our communities. And how do we reach out to the medical profession, the schools, the places that need to truly understand the truth of it, as opposed to what the hype has been. Because as we sat down here today and Dr. Dorio looked in my little note collection, what I had written down was just one little thing I wanted to just put out there, because our government says that it is a class 1 narcotic. Schedule 1, which means there is no medicinal benefit of this plant in our United States. Well, there is a patent for cannabinoids. The patent is for cannabinoids as antioxidants and neuroprotectors for the brain. It was published, it was filed in 1999. It was published in 2003. So we're looking almost 15 years ago, okay? And this went into talking about how it protects the brain due to trauma to the brain. So we're thinking it's a stroke or loss of oxygen to the brain of some kind.
Or falling and hitting your head and possibly
any of
passing out.
those, exactly. And then to turn around but it was also for disease. It talked about the protective effect for Alzheimer's and dementia. And here's something that's what, and you can all look up the patent number and everything. I'll leave all this stuff for the radio station here to do. But it breaks your heart, because you think about it. Here's something that's non-toxic, that our government has said it's an antioxidant and a neuroprotector. And yet, why are we afraid of it?
And I know the answer. We all know the answer.
Big Pharma.
Well, and
that's right.
One, it's Big Pharma, but for decades and decades, we've been told the problems through reefer madness
through Big Pharma.
Right. And you have to head toward that. But the propaganda started with the movie Reefer Madness and has continued since then. The pharmaceutical companies, as we were talking with Bob on the first segment, people are getting addicted to some of these really strong opioid medications.
91 people a day are dying from opiate overdoses.
And because we know this is a threat, we've had to turn to other modalities to be able to treat patients. And that's where our focus of this show is. It's a senior hour. And the seniors, 10 years from now, will be finding lots of benefits to the cannabis derivatives.
Sure, because a little high CBD cannabinoid oil in their tea at night, and they sleep through the night. Their pain is gone. They wake up in the next morning and they're happy. You have a whole system in your brain that is fueled by this, and it is. I would love to see it as incorporated in juices in their thing and in food in other ways as well. But you're right. And that's what we brought. One of the things we brought up is that education, bridging that gap, bringing. This is happening. So let's be on the wave. Let's be on the front side of this. Let's get those doctors involved.
10 years from now, you'll look back and say, "This is what the wave is." And you're saying right now that it is a wave, and understanding where we are. The sad part is that what has been ingrained in people's brain is that it's not good for you, and indeed. The research around the world is saying it is, but as you mentioned, the Schedule 1 medications, Schedule 1 drugs, are deemed to be not effective and should not be sold or used or experimented upon in the United States. So it isn't. And so we're not doing really any research on it in this country. And
Well, our government has over the years, but the problem is this. They didn't do research from the point of view of research.
Medicinal
Exactly.
uses.
They did it from the point of view to prove a point. And when they went out to prove their point and it didn't prove and it was wrong and the exact opposite thing happened with the cannabinoids and cannabis use in different situations, then that file was disposed of. And that's part of it. We need to stand up for those things. And I think it's kind of hard because you're right. I mean, when you think about opiates, and when and I'm not an expert on that by any stretch of the imagination, but if you witness anything that you've witnessed on the addictiveness of this, the destruction of this, how it can just destroy even children that are being given this for cancer and other modalities. Sure. When somebody says, but aren't you afraid that that child might get high from that cannabis? And I look at that person and I say, who's giving this child God knows how much heroin or opiate drug, and that is, like you said, we've determined that's okay. This is not, this is. Because the bottom line is very simple. You can't patent a plant. So big pharma's never going to get on board until they can patent it, which they're trying to do. They're trying to genetically modify it. We don't need to modify anything. We just need to understand the modalities of what's involved on the biochemical parts of our body. Right. This is critical. It's in our system. It's a system in our body. How can it not be critical to longevity? And just the whole simple fact of what Alzheimer's is doing to our communities, the dementia, even a stroke. When I read that about strokes, wow, think about if you were infused with a CBD, again, understanding what we're dealing with here, the cannabinoid, the CBD aspect of it, to be able to go in and neurologically put something in there to cool that damage or that those receptors in there and allow them to heal. That we don't have anything in the RX field that's going to do that.
No, and it's interesting, and I think I've mentioned this before to you, Kim and Jean. I went through a bout with cancer 5 years ago, and I'm clear, thank goodness. But the doctor gave me hydrocodone. And my son came
It's a slippery slope.
Yes, my son came to visit, and he said, "Mom, what are you taking? That stuff will destroy your insides. You'll end up dead." He said, "Throw it away now."
And even if not, if you live, what kind of quality would you have as an addict?
That's right. And he said, "Let me get you something that will control your pain." Next day, he brought me down some CBD pills. My pain was gone in 2 days.
Just so people
As I got
see.
goosebumps all over my body, because that is the power of what is when you give the body what it needs in the right aspect.
Absolutely.
The body goes, oh yeah, I get this,
right.
as opposed to constantly ignoring it and taking something to make it go away and doing and understanding. As we age, I have no problem aging.
I don't
either. It's an honor. I've seen it. I can say, I remember when I was the remote control at my house. Okay, can my kids say that? No. Okay, they might be able to take the, but it's part of that. But again, what can I do? Because that's what I do. I'm accountable for just Kim. I go out in the day and what do? And people, like you said, that whole small percentage of people that are smoking it. Yes, smoking it can be very beneficial for people that have Parkinson's or spasmodic diseases because it can work instantaneously with just a few inhales. So there is a place for everything.
That's right.
But a lot of people are consuming it through an oil or a food or a tea or something that
That's
way
right.
because
Charlotte's
of that.
Web.
Charlotte's Web example.
I
CW
use it
hemp.
every day.
Right. And if you look at CW Hemp as a company, they are one of those people that are out there not only making a difference in America, and shout out to Matt Story, they're making a difference in the world. They're going out and they're teaching proper farming. How do you farm? How do you cultivate? How do you take care of? What is the science? Going to these other countries where it's not been an issue, where they're seeing what did you do it, how did you use it medicinally.
That's right.
And that was part of what was brought up in our conversations over there, is people need to realize, and this, like I said, we're not even discussing recreational, okay? That's just like anything. That's like drinking wine or anything else. If you drink a bottle of wine and it's not organic, that's your bad, not the company's bad. But Our concern that was brought up was the fact that we need to make sure that this medicine that's coming to these people is not tainted with pesticides and chemicals and fungicides. That we bring them a quality product so that we can have that repeated results with stuff. So that was one of the things that was also brought up at the meeting, that it's important to make sure we had third party or outside parties testing this product. And then, like you said, having somebody that you maybe as a doctor, Dr. Dorio, would say, I'm comfortable, because there's going to be right now, if you have a cannabis license, a doctor says you can go get cannabis for your medical issues. Come January 2018, you're going to have to apply to the city for the health department for a license or a permit from them. So you're going to actually have to have two, and you're going to have to pay a fee every year, a fine, a fee every year, because you want to be well. No, I'm kidding. A fee every year to maintain that. But just so people understand, because the laws are going to change, and if somebody is using this, we want to make sure they're in that loop to understand what they need to be prepared for what's coming. But then to be able to have a place that's reputable, classes, things to educate people, because it's not about quantity. Sometimes we're seeing differences with things like Parkinson's or that spasmodic disease, or MS with some of their spasmodic issues, with just a small amount of, and it depends, and that's where the education come in. Do we need just CBD? Do we have a cancer patient that maybe needs a CBD but needs some THC too, which is the cancer killing component? No, it's not. We're looking at nerve pain and neurological damage, and we want to go high with the CBD. And the research needs to happen with all the other cannabinoids that are out there, the ones that are antifungal and bacterial, and all the ones that, like you said, everybody gets stuck. It's only THC and now we've realized there's CBD. But there's a list of many that follow that trail. And that's where some of the research is talking about whole plant therapy, where you're not isolating or growing something, because unfortunately with what's happened with legalization, a lot of people only want to grow it to be high THC value, because that's what they're looking for, which isn't a bad thing if you're dealing with a cancer patient.
That's true.
And so it's not a bad thing. But again, it's about having people understand, because even in the one article I read, was on some veterans dealing with PSTD, that certain strains of the cannabis worked for them and others could actually aggravate their symptoms. So again, that's where I think one of our little gaps is we need to have people in there that are educating the community, the churches, the schools, the doctors, maybe a real resource that can come in and say, well, this is what's been gathered. This is the literature that's here. This is what we're going to have to go from, because truly it's what? It's going to be a positive, awesome experiment about people being able to empower themselves. Because if you could get off of an opiate and a sleeping pill and an antidepressant by doing a little bit of cannabinoid oil a couple times a day, wow, that's pretty empowering. Think of the quality of your liver health and the toxicity and everything else. Well, we know we're going to make this guy over here a little bit mad because we're not going to be buying his drugs. But you know what? There's enough people that are going to want to buy those things. Then let them. I just want to have a choice. I want to be able to have a choice where I can go in and have a reputable product grown by people that are growing it for the right reasons, and not people like CW Hemp, that's awesome, that are out there changing the world, as opposed to some of these companies that are as believe it or not, Marlboro and Philip Morris already have the fields done. They've got the stuff rolled in freezers and ready to go. I mean, truly, they're not asleep on this game. It's ready to go. So it's about understanding that. Do I want to go buy a pre-manufactured product by somebody? Well, if it has a pesticide list, which again we brought up at the thing,
Yes, we
a
did.
pesticide list, a fungal list, a mold list, just like if I picked up a bottle of anything at the store, it would tell me what was in it. Then we would be able to support the right companies, and those companies would prosper, as opposed to some of the other ones that we already know are in place that are only profit driven.
I don't know any doctors who are board certified in cannabis, and there are a few doctors who know a lot about it, but it's very few and far between. I think
And that's where we'd want to get one that is to come in.
We want to get.
Yeah.
Actually, in reality, it should be on the front line so that primary care physicians in their office will be able to offer it as a first line treatment, as opposed to saying, oh, you got to go to this specialist. They'll know exactly what medication, what cannabis,
Exactly.
but we don't have that now. That education isn't even being processed right now for the American doctor, and that's
No,
And
but
it
that
should
is-
be.
and it should be.
And
I
again,
was-
that's
I
that
was-
wave. Hopefully they'll jump on that wave.
I hope so. And I was a little distressed that there weren't more doctors at that.
Well, I
Were
was.
there any?
I was
None.
No.
None.
I was a little distressed that it wasn't more of an open forum for people to express and hear and understand each other, because that's a big part of what's wrong with our world. Is they always want to isolate us. They want to stick us at a table. They want to feed us full of. You know what? Let us organically express who we are and why. Because you know what? Now I understand you a little bit better. I never understood that part of you. You know what? I don't agree with it, but you know what? I at least understand. You know, and in our world today, we're so isolated and labeled and this and that. And you know, it's funny because I have a very close girlfriend of mine, and we were discussing this meeting in cannabis the other day, and she said to me, you know, Kim, how many years have you even been involved with this? And I said to her, I said, over 20 years. And she said, well, why have you not, you know, been so vocal about it? I said, because in our world today, if somebody came to me personally and said, Kim, I need to talk to you. What did you do for your son's epilepsy? Well, how did you handle this? I would have told you what I did, for sure, because I saw my son go from a pharmaceutical that almost killed him to being seizure-free. Yes, I've seen my sister with MS. I've seen personal friends and animals that are dying come back. I've seen it all, yes. That's part of why I'm so passionate about this now, because it needs to happen. I wish I had this knowledge. Well, let's see, I'm going to be married 38 years. So 37 years ago, I wish I had this knowledge, because it did exist. Because my brother-in-law died of a brain tumor, and I believe he didn't have to.
I
you know,
agree with
and
you. Yeah.
So let's bring it out of the closet.
Yeah,
Let's
with-
not be afraid of it. Let's just look at the facts.
With my experience with it, and the pain I was having, and the CBD pills, it was gone.
Mm-hmm.
I 150% believe in it. I don't believe in recreational. But I
that's like
believe in
saying,
medicinal.
but that's like saying
But
somebody can't go have a glass of wine at a bar or a
That's very
drink.
true.
You know, who am I to
But that's an
judge?
individual
Well,
thing.
you know,
exactly.
Let it
There
remain
was-
that way.
And
There
and
was-
that needs to be regulated, and it needs to be all the things that drugs and all any of that is, and any. Yes, I do not want to have, like I said, you know, the pop-up popsicle stand at the corner. But you know what? If you've got a very nice business that you can go in there and you can have some cannabis and you can have a nice meal and you whatever, that's no different than going to a restaurant, having a bottle of wine, and you know. So that's where we need to break those walls down. We need truth and we need facts, not the garbage they want us to hear, because
Well,
that's
I'm
part of it.
hoping that since the county put this on, I'm hoping that they will take away from these symposiums,
And
there are
anybody,
many of them.
exactly, and anybody that's out there, the information's been put up. Contact them. If you've got a question, put it out there.
Absolutely.
Have your questions answered. I'm not telling you right or wrong. I'm telling you what's right for you. And if you have an issue with this part of it, then let them know. Because maybe everybody has a problem with this part of it, but we can make it better.
Absolutely.
Well,
and
we're
we can
certainly bringing
educate.
bringing it
educate.
out of the closet right now. on
Yes,
this
we
radio
are.
show. Appreciate it, Kim.
And
So
it's-
we're going to take a little break right now on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS.
Lots of people can build websites, even your sister-in-law's cousin. But there's one Santa Clarita company that specializes in designing websites for your business. Small Dog Creative. The Small Dog Creative team are local designers who are hands-on. Their talented team of experts build premium websites and redefine branding. Small Dog Creative doesn't just build websites, they'll upgrade your business's online presence and turn your business into a powerful online brand. Small Dog Creative, Santa Clarita's most innovative web and design company. SmallDogCreative.com.
What's the perfect way to end the weekend? Sunday brunch at Salt Creek Grill, of course. Wind down with delectable dishes off Salt Creek's award-winning menu and enjoy a glass of champagne, because after all, you deserve it. Make Sunday brunch at Salt Creek Grill a new tradition with your family and friends. Salt Creek Grill in Valencia on Town Center Drive in front of the movie theater. For reservations, 222-9999 or go online to saltcreekgrill.com.
I just want to send a shout out to all my customers. It's Dave Reeves from Reeves Complete Auto Center in Canyon Country.
Reeves, Santa Clarita's choice for quality customer and automotive care.
I've been in automotive service my whole life. I learned customer service and honest communication make the difference.
Reeves, where customers matter.
I really appreciate your business and hope to serve you in the future. Thank you very much.
Reeves, on Ruther in Canyon Country.
There's a very good reason Gilbertson and LaCourneau have been voted Santa Clarita's #1 orthodontist for 8 years in a row.
There's a lot of orthodontists in our community and a lot of really great doctors.
Dr. Megan LaCourneau.
Artistically, I like nice big smiles. Those are the smiles that wow people. So in all my treatment planning, I don't do a one-size-fits-all. I look at the patient's facial structure and I match their smile to their facial structure.
Dr. Megan LaCourneau of Gilbertson and LaCourneau.
Embrace your smile.
EmbraceYourSmile.com.
At Advanced Audiology, we know how important hearing is to you, your loved ones, your work success, your safety, and your ability to stay in the game. Most people won't admit hearing loss to themselves or others. We make it easy for you. Today's digital hearing aids come in a variety of styles, including invisible. All feature-rich, providing unparalleled hearing quality, wearing comfort, and automation that simplifies your life. Don't be fooled by our imitators. There's only one Advanced Audiology with the purple sign next to AAA on Valencia Boulevard.
KHTS. You'll need me, will you still feed me when I'm 64?
Welcome back to the Senior Hour. I'm Barbara Cochran with my co-host, Dr. Jean Dorio, on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS. And we're speaking with Kim Wall, who is an alternative medicine advocate. And one of the things that Kim and I and Jean are talking about is marijuana and the benefits that everyone in all walks of life,
human
yes,
and animal,
that's right, can benefit from.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just amazing. You know, at that seminar Saturday when we went, I was sitting next to a veteran who has had PTSD. He said if it wasn't for smoking every day,
he'd be dead.
I would be dead. That's
Yep.
exactly what he said.
You hear it so often.
And it's just amazing. And I wish people would do the research on it, because I know how much it helped me personally.
And take the stigmatism away. People are so, if you
Absolutely.
say it with that makes you a less of a person. It doesn't make me less of a person. You know what? I'm sorry that in my mind I go down all the rabbit holes. I want to know why. Why is this history here? Why isn't cannabis? Because if you go back to 1901, you pull up the old bottles. What were the old bottles, Dr. Dorio? Cannabis was in the bottles, all of
that's
them.
right.
And in, I believe it was 1837-ish or something, they created the
Cocaine was in
exactly
Coca-Cola.
cocaine. They created and that's where they got them, the marijuana tax law. And the doctors didn't know what that was, so they didn't fight it. And once it went through, it made cannabis too expensive to use, so the doctors lost their own tool because they were confused with it. And that's where the marijuana slang came from, not to be whatever, but if you want to know true history, it was Mary and Juan, which are the two most common Spanish names, and that's why they called it that. They wanted to create, like you said, with reefer madness, a stigmatism. They wanted to create a negative. If you go back and look at all the stuff, it was never called that before. It was cannabis. And it was cannabis sativa, cannabis indica, and these were the properties of it. But when that talk, like I said, the doctor said they would have fought that tax. They would have never let it happen. But they didn't pay attention because they didn't know what marijuana was.
But the efforts of prohibitionists during that time period, you know, was trying to control people in general, and whether
True.
it was, you know, whatever viewpoint you may have had from wherever it was coming from, you know.
But it was also the beginning of our revolution of Rx pharmaceuticals.
Yeah, exactly. That's when it all started to develop, because people saw, well, these big companies said, hey, if they can control this, we're in great shape. Well, we were able to drink alcohol after a while, but, you know, that stigma that you had mentioned continued, and it continues to now, where you still find that in the United States, it's a Schedule, cannabis is a Schedule I drug. And really, I have seen no efforts at all by Congress to change that, and they just don't want to, because who's in control of
hemp, right? The hemp aspect is happening.
Yes.
So that wave is actually happening in the United States of America, and that's a good start, because what all that is bringing to the table is education. Because what deciphers hemp from cannabis is hemp has 0.02% THC per whatever it is, where cannabis doesn't. It has both. It has it can have high CBDs, sure can. It can have, because some of the medicinal things you're seeing, like I said, depending on, they're in the same family. It's just the THC versus CBD determines that, because hemp is one of those things, again, We can make clothes and food and fuel and homes and medicine and you name it. There's a lot of people who are going to be really mad. We're going to take a cut out of their chemicals they've been shoving down our throat for 30 years. But guess what? The bottom line in America is it should be about choice.
That's right.
And label it. You let me make the choice with my dollar. If I choose to buy this, then that's my choice. But I want to be able to pick it up and know what it is. Where was it manufactured? If I can choose it being manufactured in Santa Clarita as opposed to I have no idea country, I would choose Santa Clarita. Maybe it costs me a little bit more, but I'm going to maintain and keep my community strong. And I'm going to keep myself strong because I'm using a product I know where it came from. I know what's been sprayed on it.
But you guys went to a meeting and you saw the complications related to the medication being a Schedule I drug. So
there was a lot. That was one.
Until we get rid
yeah.
of that, it's going to remain complicated.
True.
Yes,
Always
it
a great
Yes.
conversation.
Always,
with
Dr.
you, Kim.
Euro.
Always, we appreciate your being on the show. And if there's a phone number they can reach you at.
They want to reach me. It's 818-683-4876 or educator@kingbio.com.
Kim,
Go out and make it a good day. Like I said, we can change the world.
We can change the world. We are sponsored by Advanced Audiology and Comfort Keepers in Home Care. Listen to us next week on the Senior Hour. Now go and enhance your quality of life.